Gary has not liked traditional dialogue-based comedy. Doesn't like the Royal Family, Grandma's House, Early Doors, anything that's just pure dialogue-based, which is fair to say Mum is.
And basically, this is the new sitcom created by the team behind Him and Her. It stars Leslie Manville as Kathy, a 59-year-old... Kathy. A 59-year-old woman who loses her husband late, sort of, the last year. And this whole series follows her over the first year as a widow.
Yes.
You see other characters like... this first episode was the day of her husband's funeral, where she meets Kelly, her... son's girlfriend. There's also her brother and her brother's girlfriend, Pauline, who's like a really sort of vicious snob, not slob. And then her in-laws, who are sort of quite filthy, really, aren't they? There, sort of. And then there's Peter Mullen as well as Michael, who's one
in
of
a
her
role
oldest
that
friends.
You'd have thought isn't set for Peter Mullen, but he is fantastic in it.
He does a lot of standing. And so, Gary, how far did you get?
I
reckon 15 minutes.
I reckon 10.
Gary?
I watched the whole thing.
Ta-da! Oh, Gary, why?
And Gary, why? And I liked it, but it's not a comedy in the traditional comedy sense.
It's not.
It is more the kind of awkwardness, not comedy, that you're watching for.
Well, in that case, you could say Him and Her and The Office weren't comedies. Would you say that?
I wouldn't. No, because I think the difference. I've not watched Him and Her, so I can't comment on that. There are comedic moments in The Office that are played for laughs.
But there were comedic moments in this, like the joke about...
But they're not played for comedy.
But what about burying your own son?
That was my favourite line out of the whole thing of that episode.
That was laugh out loud.
Genius.
Maureen and Reg, this is Kelly, Jason's new girlfriend. It's nice to meet you both at last. I'm so sorry about your loss.
Thank you, yeah. It's been very hard. You shouldn't have to bury your own child.
No. God. Well, you think they'd do that for you? Oh, no, I see what you mean, yeah. Sorry. It's okay, Kelly. Sorry, I thought you meant you actually had to dig...
Kelly, your mum washed the wrong black dress, didn't she? That's why you're in bright red.
Yes. Yeah, I've got 2 black dresses. One of them's a bit like, well, my ex-boyfriend used to like it when I don't know how to put it.
We don't need to know.
Oh, yeah, true. Sorry.
The one thing that I did like was the way in which the characters all interacted. As you said, there was the dippy blonde girlfriend who just came out with the most inappropriate, stupid thing.
I like... Sorry, Cafe.
Sorry, Cafe.
The bit that I loved is, could I buy the first scene is her going, I couldn't wear my black dress, it shows shows my bum. And then she comes and goes, can I borrow some knickers?
Yeah,
it's just
I should have some on. Yeah.
Ridiculous. And I didn't quite understand the character that you guys both like of the bloke that just stands there. I wanted to hit him and say something. I was annoyed.
Well, he really likes her.
Yeah, sure, and you can tell that. So just, I mean, he spent 5 minutes in a scene knowing that her glasses were on her head and not telling her.
But that's the
can I talk about that for a minute? Because I put this on with my parents. By this point I'd seen this first episode 3 times, and I wanted to see what they would think of it. And they laughed in all the right places, but I didn't feel like they were overly invested. And there is a scene where Leslie Manville, as you say, she has her glasses on her head. She's opened this Amazon container which has a book about ponds, which her and her husband were going to put in over their anniversary as a bit of a surprise. And it's a really powerful scene where Leslie says, I can't believe he's gone. And I looked over and my mum had a tear in her eye, which I thought, wow.
I found it quite emotional.
Yeah, and I thought, wow, because up until that point, I don't know whether I thought they were listening.
Have you watched all of them, Luke? No.
I wanted to save 6, but I've seen up till 6.
There's a really good scene in the last one where Kathy and Kelly, and they're just sort of, she says something to Kelly, and she says something like, does that mean you like me? And it's just like, it made me laugh and had a tear in my eye at the same time.
Because I think what you learn you may have missed it, but what you learn about Kelly in that, although you're right, Gary, she's this ditzy blonde who says inappropriate things.
but
She
she's got a
also
heart in
talks
the right
about
place.
she also talks about how she was sort of abused by her first boyfriend and
That's
how
right, yeah.
And
there's
you
a
meet
lot
her
of-
mum, don't you? And her mum's a nightmare.
her mum's a horrible person, and you
Oh, I
find
bet.
that out.
I think
And
Yeah,
your
and
friend's
thing
playing
is
a
that
pulling character, basically.
I think the
Yeah,
reason that I
basically.
think I liked it, and I think the reason that I think it will be in the end successful, is there's probably someone in that show that's in your family or extended
Yeah.
family. I have a great aunt who has a lot of the traits of the sister-in-law, you know, the woman that just comes out and goes,
Bully.
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Where you
I
get-
think,
where you get-
I think
That's very
Dorothy
tacky.
Atkinson is brilliant
Yeah.
in that role, just sort
She
of
is.
doing the
But
looks.
we all know those people who,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just for the life of them,
Who
can't
make you
help
feel
but pointing
inadequate.
out-
She
Yeah.
gets the
Yeah.
she gets the most out of the. I think she gets the most out of the littlest like bits of
Yeah.
because she doesn't have much dialogue, but the bits that she does her with her eyes and her sort of just her facial expressions.
And you just want the main character to go, shut up, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter, I'm burying my husband. And I think that's
doesn't matter that the coins are off.
Yeah, exactly.
These are off.
And that's I think again why I liked it, because the tension builds and
Yeah.
builds.
What's happening after we've you know, when we've said goodbye?
Well, we're all just going to the Crown. They're doing a buffet.
Oh, nice, lovely. That sounds nice, doesn't it?
Yes, a buffet in a pub. How authentic. What does that involve in practice?
Well, it's just sandwiches, sausage rolls, pork pies, that sort of thing.
Great.
They've also got a menu.
Thank God for that.
Whether you realised it or not watching the first one, it is populated with some really nice characters.
I don't like
Let-
the grandparents.
I just think Lisa McGrillis from is
I
as
did
Kelly
not
is
recognise her. 'cause
she's
she
the star of
obviously-
the show.
Yeah, I mean that is the relationship, isn't it? Even though it's called Mum and it's about her and her son, it's really the relationship between Kelly and Kathy that the show.
And
I
what
had-
you
I
realise
had-
when
I
What-
forgot what it was, sorry.
when you meet her mum, you realise how important it is that she gets on well with Kathy, and you'll get there in the third episode. I
The
believe.
third episode, and that's got a lovely conclusion to it, I think, hasn't it?
The one thing I would say, you say that you think perhaps I don't like that kind of sort of conversational
I had
dialogue
wondered
heavy.
whether you didn't.
My favourite ever episode of the comedy Red Dwarf is a episode called Marooned, which is literally Lister
Conversation.
and Rimmer in a spaceship, marooned, and it's 25 minutes of dialogue between them until you get the reveal at the end, which is humorous.
Do you see yourself sticking with this? Because I know ordinarily
my
it's-
only concern is what else are they going to do? Is
they do a lot
Oh,
more.
they do a
is
lot.
all
and
I'll say.
that's the thing where yes, I mean it's on. I've recorded it. The series is on record.
Yeah, they do.
But for me, I would have to see them doing other things. You can't have a wake every week.
no, they
No, of
they
course you don't.
reintroduce
It goes over the course
yeah
of the
over
year.
the year. So the
Yeah.
next episode is set on Valentine's Day.
And
Yeah,
that's
the
fine.
next episode
So-
isn't the day after the funeral. It's February
No,
now,
time has
and we're at
passed.
Valentine's.
And then
Day.
it's like May and August and then
I have
Yeah.
to say as well,
October,
this
December.
feels more like a BBC One comedy than a BBC Two comedy.
I would
Fair enough.
disagree.
We've had that conversation recently.
No, I
about
think
what
they,
is
I
what.
think they, I think they can get away with a tiny bit more on BBC Two than they can on
Yeah.
BBC
I don't
One.
think
But then, if you think about, you were saying about the two of the comedies you mentioned just there, The Royal Family and The Office, both started on BBC Two and then went.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
then
No,
moved
that's a fair point. But
This is going to have like I reckon a cult sort of word of mouth sort of appeal to it. People will tell their friends about it, and like The Royal Family, for example, as I said, it started sort of this sort of time on BBC Two, not much fanfare, and through sort of like press word of mouth by the third series, it's on primetime BBC One.
I never saw a trailer for this.
Mum said
Comedy.
she'd seen a trailer of it, but she wasn't sure what it was about. She said, "Oh, I saw a trailer," and I said, "Oh, you've got to watch it." So I hope I hope
And
she.
do you think she would like it?
She would like it because we used to watch Early Doors together, and she loved the.
I
Royal
think
Family.
it does. I think it does have a broader appeal. Than
It
you
does
might
have a lot
imagine.
in common with the Royal Family. I think. If you
I
like
just
the
think-
Royal Family, then you
great
like it.
idea for a podcast. Our mums talking about what they like on telly.
They'd
I'd have
forget.
to-
They'd be worse. My mum's worse than you when it comes to remembering names. And
Oh
things
god, yeah.
that have
Then that's the thing with the thing on the thing. With the thing.
yeah. That's what it'll be.
Oh, she's not.
But I'm surprised that some reviewers were a bit sniffy about it. I read a review, I think it was the Telegraph, that said it wasn't biting enough, and I was like, well, does it have to be?
Biting?
Yeah.
What do
What do
they
they
mean by
want?
that, though? Do they mean nothing happened? In which case, fair enough, but that wasn't the point.
No,
of it.
like, biting
not
to
an
me
action.
means like,
Action packed.
No, like, like satirical, like really sort of,
But it's not. It's not trying
biting,
to.
like social satire maybe. But it's
That
not trying to
sounded
be
like
that.
they tuned in wanting it to be something it completely wasn't, which is the complete
The
wrong
Telegraph
attitude to have.
reviewers are a bit odd sometimes. I always find their reviews a bit odd. Like they're trying to
Well,
like be controversial.